Hey everybody, it's Syncretic 3D here, and in this video I want to share with you how to create a bomb in Blender. So let's delete all the objects here, A, X, delete, add a UV sphere right here, and the default settings for the UV sphere are fine. 32 segments and 16 rings is good for what we need. So tab in edit mode, select the top faces right here, E, click G to drag, and Z to lock on Z axis. Move it right there. Somewhere around there is good. Let's press I to inset it. Inset. Somewhere around there. And E to extrude. And go down like that. Somewhere around there. That's good. And then we can bevel out the edges right here with a bevel modifier, like so, just to add some more smoothness to the edges. Let's divide this by 3. Yes, you can divide in Blender using a slash and whatever number you want to divide it by. Divide by 3 again, like so. Smooth shade, that's by right-clicking and shade smooth. Control 2 to subdivide it. Adds more geometry, but it looks smoother. Without and with. Okay. Now I want to add the wick. So what we can do is grab this vertex right here, Shift D to copy it, and P separate selection. And grab that. Let's remove the bevel, move the subdivision, and then just go to front view by pressing 1, E, click, click, E, click, E, click. So we have a nice curved shape. It's very jagged for the edges though, so what we can do is subdivide it. Control 2, now it's smooth. Let's apply that here. Now let's convert this to a curve, convert to curve. This will allow us to add some geometry to the depth. Divide by 3, and control 1 to make it subdivided, more smoothed out. And then we can hop into the materials. Let's hop into cycles here. Use the GPU if you have one. And I'm going to create a quick background here. Selecting the bomb here. Shift A, add a plane, move it down like that, like so. And then grab that back edge right here. E, click, and G, and drag up in the Z axis by pressing Z. Now I will add a bevel to this. Move like that. Now we have a nice background for our bomb. Go to front view, numpad 1, move it down. You want to be floating a little bit. Let's add a camera right here. Camera, Shift A camera. Control Alt numpad 0 to move the camera to the current viewport view. Press G, move the camera around, and click down on the middle mouse wheel. Now it will drag with the mouse wheel. That, G, and lock on the Z axis to move it up in the Z axis, like so, and lock on the mouse wheel. Pressing G, middle mouse wheel, move it back like this. Like so. Now render this out. It's very, no lighting at all. So let's add a light, area light, Shift A, light area light. Like so. Let's make this something like 300. like so. Like so. And now we can add materials to this this bomb here. Go to the shader editor over here. And let's add a new material to this. Let's give it a nice black material for now, for the principal BSDF. And we want to add some imperfections to this bomb. It's way too smooth right now. So what we can do is add a noise texture. Noise texture, like so. And let's view that by bringing it into a bump. Shift A, bump. Height. Bring the normal into the normal right here, and the normal down here. It's way too plasticky looking. So let's bring up the roughness here, and the detail will be at 16. Lower the strength. It's looking pretty good. Let's use the texture coordinate. This allows us to make sure that the texture is evenly distributed at all times, no matter what, how long the object that's applied to is. It's pretty much the same for this object here because it's pretty even in scaling. Use the object coordinate here. Now let's use a Voronoi texture. Voronoi texture. Shift A, type in Voronoi. Like so. Like so. Let's use something like 50 right here. Let's mix this together. Use it with a mix RGB. Now see this? We can make this more smooth for each of the edges here. With the smooth F1. Now it's a little bit smoothed. You can lower the strength here. And bring down the roughness here. Lower the strength again. And we can also use a few more nodes for the roughness channel, because you want to be glossier in some areas and more rough in other areas. So let's copy this over here, the top 3 nodes. Shift D to copy. Let's mix this with a second noise texture. So Shift D. Use the object coordinate right here. Plug this into here. Now these are exactly the same right now. So what we can do is change the scale. Let's do 2 instead. And let's use multiply here. And use a color ramp right here to bring this in. Something like that's good. Let's do difference. Getting a very random look to this. Now we can mix this with the color information right here, like so. What's really cool is that we can use a separate HSV node to separate the hue, saturation, and value. Now we have 3 different textures that we can use. I'll use the first one. I'll plug it into a color ramp here. Color ramp. Bring the black levels in, like so. And I'll bring that into the roughness right here. Going to bring the black level up to make that more rough. Bring this down a little bit. Bring this down a little bit too. Maybe make this more rough here. More rough here. Mix this with the saturation. Mix RGB. Bind this together. A nice variation in the roughness here. Now the great thing about curves is that it's going to, the texture will conform along the curve if we use the UV coordinates. So let's use a, let's add a wave texture, like so. Make sure we're using the texture coordinate UV input. You see it's conforming to the curve itself. Let's change the scale. Let's do 20. Now we have a nice striped wick. Let's use a color ramp for here. Bring this in. Make this dark like that. Bring it right here. Base color. Bring this up. We can always make this more thick by changing the depth right here. And change levels of stripes right here. Make this like 5. I'll make this divided by 3, divided by 3. That's kind of how I want it to be. Now we can also grab the edge right here, Shift S, cursor to selected, have our point where we add new objects to right there. Add a icosphere, scale it down, and we will bring this up right here. Verse up right here, GZ. Use the proportional editing by using the 0 on the keyboard. Now G, Z, and use the middle mouse wheel to move the fall off. Well, right there. I'll do Control 2 to subdivide this. Use a new material. Let's give it an emission. Right here. Make this like 5. And use a nice hot yellow color. Make it even brighter. Let's do 20. Like so. And that is how you make a bomb in Blender.